Welcome to the Strong, Single and Human podcast, a real look at single parenting, the ups and downs, and how to navigate life with kids on your own while keeping sane. Covering subjects such as domestic violence through to fussy eaters and solo dating. I'm your host, Claire Martin. Welcome. Hi, everyone. This week I have Kylie, who left a domestic violence situation with 3 kids, a handful of suitcases, and not much else. 4 years on, she has got a great job and has bought her first home and a new car. But I'm not going to tell you about her journey. Who better to tell us about her journey than Kylie herself? Hi, Kylie. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Claire. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for the invite.
Thanks. No, thank you. No, it's great. Hey, look, I mean, you've come such a long way from walking out with nothing and the kids. Tell us about what you've done since, leaving. What's gone on? How's your journey?
I mean, I left a domestic violence situation that resulted in a couple of convictions for my ex, and so that was really hard to try and deal with initially. One of those convictions was against one of my children who was just turned 7 at the time. So that was really quite hard. So we had a lot of hurdles that we had to go through trauma-wise with them. So and initially I mainly focused my energies on them. I think my biggest hurdle and the things that really worried me a lot was the fact that I wasn't bringing in an income. So we had
Yeah, that must have been a worry because, where did you go? When you left with the kids and the suitcase, did you have anywhere to go to?
No, we were homeless for 5 weeks. So we ended up, it was very lucky that one of the parents at the school, that my son and her daughter were friends. I didn't really know them very well because my relationship had kept me very isolated from a lot of people. So that was really difficult.
Yeah.
But she offered me a room underneath their house. So they had,
wow.
I stayed under their house for 5 weeks until we secured somewhere to live. So that was very lucky to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, trying to find a rental with no income coming in was, it was one of the things I'd never had to face before. So that was really hard. And so I guess I kind of had to try and find my feet financially as to what was I going to do. I mean, we were running a family business and obviously I had left that too. So I'd not only lost my home, I'd lost my relationship and I'd lost my job. So, I pretty much had nothing, absolutely nothing. And I had $43 in my bank account. That was it.
Oh my God.
I was very lucky though because my dad did step up. And he was able to finance me for a little while, although he was a Vietnam veteran, so he was on a pension himself. So he could sort of only filter in what he could give me. But, it was enough to help me and make me step up. So we finally found somewhere to live after 5 weeks, and that was great.
And was that just basically looking on realestate.com or whatever, or did you have to go and sort of talk to some real estate agents and go, hey guys, this is my situation, can you help us out? Or how did that happen?
It certainly was. It was a case of saying to these people, and it was really quite embarrassing for me as well because I'm a very proud person, and and to say to a stranger, and it was, in the situation I was in, the town I was in at the time, there was 1 degree of separation, so people knew you. And to walk in there and say, hey, listen, I need help. I need to find somewhere to live because this is my situation. I kind of had to swallow a bit of pride and, and ask for that handout, not a handout, but just that helping hand to say, look,
and look, at the end of the day, we're strong single mums, aren't we? And we just get on with it. And to actually have to go and say, hey, guys, can you give me a hand? It's not something we do. We just get on with it.
No, exactly. And it was, and so that was a really quite confronting, I suppose, and it just made me realise sort of how low I really felt at the time. I felt defeated and it was really quite hard to deal with. I mean, in the meantime, while all this was happening, a friend of mine was actually starting up her business, and she was it was a drive-through coffee place. And because I had a bit of social media training, I started helping her with the social media. And we got the presents put out there and things like that. And it actually was the beginning of me starting my business. So,
Wow.
so while all of this was crumbling down around me, I was focusing not only on, my kids, but I was also trying to focus on keeping my mental health going, and also, starting with this business of mine.
Get some money
a little
in.
bit of income. I was really going to be quite happy with that.
Yeah.
So once we sort of found somewhere to live, and then, we, they got the kids settled into school, and I started focusing a little bit on this business. It actually started to grow quite a little bit, and it was sort of enough to keep me occupied and take my mind off things, because I was also facing court cases. I was facing,
I can imagine,
AVOs, and, and also having the kids in. I was also seeing a counsellor. I saw a counsellor for 4 years.
Yeah,
so
good.
That's a really important thing, I think, that really helped me grow through that too. It was having someone to talk to freely about how I was feeling, and being able to, to say, to know that that's okay, like that's completely normal.
And I have to agree with you there, because I did something similar. I had a counsellor for 3.5 years or whatever, and just having that other person who's not a friend, a relative, somebody who's completely neutral, who doesn't know the situation, and that you can vent to, and you can talk through situations. And I don't know if it's something to do with us women, but I find it easier to get everything that I'm thinking outside of my body and out of my brain, either by talking to somebody or writing it down or whatever. I don't know if you're the same. Is that what you helped you?
Yeah, actually having someone that I could speak to like once a week or once a fortnight, and because the relationship had left me a shell of the person that I used to be, because it was actually not just that. I mean, obviously it wasn't just one assault. It was over years that had happened, and I had come from being this strong, independent, career-minded person to being this shell of who I didn't even recognize myself. But having that person to help you recognize that you still have that strength and you still have that independence and you can still build yourself back up was really, really instrumental in helping me gain the foundation again to start stepping up.
Yeah, it's just about I suppose you over that period of time you lose yourself, don't you? And it's then all about the key. You're focused on protecting the kids and protecting yourself as such, and you lose who you are.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So and that was I thought that was a really, really positive thing that I did, and it was something that I was lucky in a sense that my father was a Vietnam veteran, so I got my counselling through Veteran Affairs. So I was very lucky in that respect. But I do know that there are a lot of domestic violence counsellors out there that people can access, because I was offered all of those when I went through with my court cases. And the police were amazing in helping me connect with those services, which is something I really appreciated at the time, because you go through these situations and you don't think anyone's going to believe you because no one's believed you before. And,
that's amazing.
And to have that service, it was great to have,
And I remember you saying to me that the police were unbelievable. You weren't sure, like you said, about being believed or anything like that, but the police were like a rock as such for you and the kids, because they just helped you so much.
They did. And I know there's a lot of cases out there, and I hear it all the time, that the police don't help and the police don't believe you and things like that. But I never experienced that. In actual reality, I actually felt that they were advocating more for me than I was. And, looking back in hindsight, I think, having that, knowing that they were there was what helped me to stay away and, never to go back. I have a positive story with them, and I would never think that they would never, do the wrong thing by saying, it never happened, or, you're exaggerating. Wasn't a case in my, in my situation. So.
Yeah, no, I know. And I've heard of various different things on the spectrum, but like I've always had a good experience with the police, and their hands are tied to a certain extent if nothing's occurred, or, if due to privacy laws or whatever, they try and help as best they can, basically. But yeah, it's always best to report things to them and try and see if you can use them as best as possible in your situations, because they are awesome. And they are there to help us. And I know people sometimes are scared of the police, but there's no need to be.
Yeah, one thing I noticed though, I mean, when the police attended when I was assaulted, they in this particular case, they, the one question they asked me was, are you afraid of your partner? And I said no. They saw straight through that. And I mean, as much as, I was terrified, but they saw that. I mean, and this is what I think, people seem to think the police have no empathy and no sympathy. They see it, they know it. They just, but sometimes they've got to act in a manner that's a little bit more cautious, because they don't want to put people in further danger. So, but that's just, like I said, that's just my experience anyway. Yeah, that's about it. But yeah, so so once I started my business, and my business started taking off, then I started working for a couple of different companies and things like that. I just started building myself up. I started focusing on me, the kids, finances, and then where was I going to go? The kids, they seemed to be okay. We were still living in a very stressful environment, being such a town where I was living. But I was still under that impression that I couldn't leave.
Wow.
And so it was still very stressful for those 4 years. And it wasn't until actually after my father had passed away, I was working for another company down then that worked, my father had passed away, and the one thing he wanted was for me to come home, because, back up to Brisbane. And I was like, and it probably took about 6 weeks. And then one day I just turned around and went, you know what, I'm going home. I went home. So, so I packed everything up.
Oh, my gosh. Again?
Again. It cost me quite a bit of money, but I had some money saved up. So because I'd been quite frugal, so I'd been saving as much as I could. And, packed everything up, packed the kids up, and I moved home. And so I've been back up in Brisbane. I got a great job that I really love, with some people that I love, a great company, really supportive. I bought the house through COVID, which was quite difficult. But
okay. And so are you still running your own business, or have you actually got a job?
Well,
now?
I've got the full-time job, but funnily enough, and I let my business go through the wayside, because when COVID hit, all my clients went, look, they started peaking, they started freaking out, and I just said to them, look, let's just null and void your contracts. You look after your business. Don't worry about me. I'll always bounce. And that's when I actually applied for a position in insurance, and I got it. And I've been working since. Funnily enough, I've actually had quite a few of my friends and my past clients reaching out to me again and saying, hey, would you be interested in helping me out? Cool. And I'm like, I've got a full-time job. I'm renovating a house. Sure, I can take you on again.
Super mum. Oh my gosh. Okay. But look, at the end of the day, I know completely what you mean. I mean, like, I work full time, and then I do this podcast and stuff like that on the side. But if you can do something that is a side hustle that gives you extra money or whatever, and then becomes something that you love to do full time, and you're not then working for the man as such, then hats off to you, because it's better for you, the kids, everyone.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I love my job, and I'm happy where I am. I think, at least it gives me an option. I mean, I can choose what I want to do and what I don't want to do at this point. And I think having the freedom and the luxury to do that is kind of quite exhilarating. Like, I can just I can spend a couple of hours on a Saturday if I want to, or a Sunday, and I can still spend time with my kids. That's an important aspect of my life too. You make sure I spend time with the kids, and we go and do things, and they're not just being, I keep thinking that Cats in the Cradle song. It just always comes into my head, and sometimes that's how I feel. I make a concerted effort not to. But I just think a little bit of extra play money, and I can take the kids away on holiday. We're planning on maybe going to Canada next Christmas, so.
Wow. Okay.
Bit of extra money to do that with, and why not?
Yeah. No. Well, exactly right. Exactly. It all helps, doesn't it? But okay. So wow. So through all of this, and I know because you and I have both spoken about this, right? Obviously there's dark days, and you just think, oh my God, how am I going to get through this? I mean, what are the top 3 things that you could, if you were sitting down with me and I was just going through this, what would be the top 3 things that you would say to me to keep me sane?
That's a really difficult one, because it really depends on the type of person that you are. I mean, I know for me, my top 3 was surrounding myself firstly with people that were strong, that would have that empathy, but wouldn't give me the excuse to allow me to say, I'm going to give up. It was surrounding myself with people saying, you can do this, pull your big girl panties up, you can do this. And I literally had a friend that would say that to me. And and so that would be my first one. Just every day it can be a battle. I remember waking up every morning and just going, I just want to stay in bed. I don't want to get up. I can't, the world is too heavy on my shoulders right now. And it was a case.
Yeah. It's like pulling the covers over your head and just going, I can't do this anymore. And I know completely what you mean, because I've been there where you just go, I can't, I just can't.
So
I can't
on days
cope,
like that,
Yeah. But you do.
Well, on days like that, I just say to yourself, say you need to be kind to yourself. Put one foot in front of the other. Do not give yourself any expectations. You don't have to do everything. And that's one thing I really battled with, because it was always, my responsibilities. You have to do this, you have to do that, you have to look after the kids, you have to clean the house, you can't and it was just so overwhelming. And then when I realized I don't have to do that. I mean, I have to look after kids, obviously, but, I don't have to get them out of their pajamas. If we want to have a pajama day, we will have a pajama day. But it's being kind to yourself and saying, what really do I have to do? Yes, I have to feed my kids. Yeah. But yes, they can have cereal for breakfast, or they have cereal for dinner, or they can have, it's not about putting that pressure on yourself anymore. I suppose it's like picking your battles, isn't it? Like if they want to be in pajamas all day, and if it's a battle to actually have that discussion with them and get them dressed, and you're not really going anywhere, well, let them stay in pajamas all day. And if they want to have cereal for dinner, it's one day. Like, it's not that they're having cereal for dinner for the next year. It's one day. Like you say, be kind to yourself and just go, okay, it's one day. Yep. It's one day. But, I always made the effort to say, right, and the next day I will do what I need to get done. But you at least know that you've said, okay, I've given myself that day. And sometimes that was all it took. It just took that one day to say, it's okay. I'm okay to fall apart today. I'm okay not to be a mum. I'm okay just to sit on the couch with my kids. I'll watch The Little Mermaid 5 times if I have to. And we that's when we started our Saturday night or Friday night party nights, so Saturdays, we'd clean the house, we'd do our thing. I didn't have the money to go out or take the kids anywhere, but I'd have the money to be able to have a DVD or get some popcorn and some chips and some lollies, and we'd sit around and our pajamas all day, and then we'd have our Saturday night party night. We'd just pull the blankets and the pillows out and watch a movie and just connect with the family.
And that's the thing. It's something so simple like that. You don't have to have loads of money. The kids don't really want, well, they do. Like when they start school, they want loads of stuff. But they're happy just being with you. And as long as they're loved and stuff, they don't need to. Like you say, you can watch a DVD at home, or I know people have Netflix and various different other things, which makes it just as easy. But get some popcorn and stuff in, and Yeah, get them to make some popcorn. I mean, buying corn kernels and stuff like that and getting them to cook it, anything that's different.
No, we did. We also got, some days we had a deck of cards, some days we had a board game. It was just whatever we felt like at the time, just as long as we spent that time as a family. And I think it made me realize that it doesn't matter what I'm doing, like my family, like my kids were going to come first. And it made me realize that everything I do, I am doing for them. And I think the third thing I would actually say that the advice I would give you is to focus on you, because if you fall apart, everything falls apart. So you need to look after you. If that means that you need to go and see a doctor, you need to go to the gym, you need time out on your own, you need to take, whatever you need, take that time, because if the kids know it, they feel it. And a lot of behavioural issues do come from the feelings that parents are emitting, and they don't realise it. Parents stressed, parents coping, the child's not coping.
Look, I agree, and it just makes it worse. Like, I know with my son, if I'm stressed, he's awake at 4 a.m. wanting to come into my bed, and that means that I don't get a full night's sleep because he's up. So he's stressing because I'm stressing, and it just goes around in a circle. And then you just get worse and worse and worse. And you just got to deal with it. Go and talk to somebody. Go and get counselling. I know there's lots of help groups out there, like especially for domestic violence and various different situations. And it's just going online, if you can, Googling it and seeing what people are. And like on this podcast, there's lots and lots of people that I'll be talking to who can help, like homeless mums, homeless dads, domestic violence, alcohol abuse, various different other things like that we'll hopefully be covering on here. So, we'll have like a directory as such of addresses and charities and foundations and things that can help, basically. I'm slowly building that up, but we will get that, so it'll help people out. Everything that you've said I agree with. It definitely is about you and you and the kids at the end of the day, isn't it, really? So what did you see as your biggest challenge, and like how did you overcome it over those 4 years? What was the biggest challenge for you?
I'd like to say money, but I actually don't think it was, because I sort of had my handle on that. I actually think my biggest challenge was as I said, I was in a smaller town, and it was the rumors, the people around me, the people who didn't believe what happened. They believed him, they didn't believe me, and that was really hard, because with that, I actually had people coming up to me when I was having coffee with a friend, and they were telling me what was happening in my life, and I had no idea who they were.
Oh my God.
And it was really hard, because there was always this preconception. I also came across, like, I'd apply for a couple of jobs, and because they knew who I was, apparently, I didn't know who they were, but they knew who I was, I didn't get the position.
Wow.
And you would sort of think,
and you make yourself sound like a serial killer, but you're not. Like, at the end of the day, you just were in a situation that, like,
exactly,
and it was nothing to do with you. You were actually the victim out of all of this, not the perpetrator.
Exactly.
But
it didn't matter that he had convictions. It was the fact that I was still this really horrible psycho person, apparently. And so it was hard, because I didn't bite back. I wouldn't bite back. I didn't give them the satisfaction. I was just, well, okay, I think if that's what you've heard and that's what you choose to believe, then that's fine. The people who know me, they know that that's not true, but your opinion of me is not enough for me to want to change your mind.
Yeah, and I commend you for that, because you can't change other people.
And that was it. I was, for a while there, I was trying to justify myself, like, no, that's not what happened. That's not what happened. That's not me. And at the end of the day, I was becoming so stressed. I wasn't sleeping. I was losing so much weight. I was becoming so sick.
Oh my gosh.
And it was obviously with having the counselling, he made me realise that those people's opinions don't matter. People who don't want to know the full story and they don't want to know both sides, their opinion doesn't matter. And I've got family members who only know one side of a story. And they are mature enough to go, okay, we know there's two sides to each story, but we're not going to make a judgment. And they don't, and which is great. But there are other people in the family who had, and they will believe one side of a story and then, make out that, but again, I would turn around and say, you know what, until you know both sides of a story, then your opinion doesn't have any weight. It does not have any bearing on how I behave or what I do. That was a really hard thing to overcome or to face. So that was probably the biggest challenge I had.
And how did you do that? So counselling helped you overcome that then, basically, and get you to see that you aren't going to change these people. So and it's their opinion. It's their, like I always say, it's that one person's opinion of me, but there are 20 other people who have a different opinion. It's their view, but it's not who I am.
No. And one thing I actually realised, and I think this comes across from a lot of domestic violence victims, is that the perpetrator will use the people around. So they'll, when you remove yourself from the situation from them, they will find other ways to get at you. And that was my ex-partner's way of getting at me. And it was just another form of abuse. Until I turned around and said, you know what, stop, I'm not going to tolerate this. I can say no to this. It's how I respond to it. I'm going to say, no, you can't hurt me anymore, not physically. You can see, obviously in other ways. But I said no, until when I took that power back into myself, that's when things started to change. And that's the one thing that I think a lot of domestic violence victims, that's why they won't come forward. They're not believed, and their perpetrators made other people, family members, friends, believe that what you're saying is not true.
Because they're crazy, or they're like, they're bipolar, or they're like, they call them all these other things. They've got mental illness or whatever, and you haven't. No way at all. But they sort of go, oh, look, no normal person would do this. They're ill. Yeah. And you sort of go, well, actually, no, that's not the situation. Well,
and this is it. And it wasn't until I surrounded myself with people that were strong, that believed me. I had to really calculate, step by step what happened, when he was convicted, not only of assaulting me, but also my 7-year-old. It wasn't just me. I didn't walk in there and, make all these accusations and then suddenly the judge went slam down the gravel and said, so, you're convicted. Yeah. There was, police interviews. There were domestic violence officer interviews. They had to run it through the senior sergeants. They had to run it through the prosecutors. The prosecutors then had to go. And then the judge made the final decision. So when you have all those people involved, you turn around and you go, you know what? It happened. Anyone can turn around and go, oh, no, he didn't mean it. Or no, it didn't happen. You just made all this up. I'm sorry, but, our legal system, while it needs a massive overhaul.
Yeah, it does. But
these people, you can't convince this many people of this, of something happening without someone questioning it.
Well, and also when you say, oh, he didn't mean it, well, actually, he had a choice as to what he did, his actions as such. And I don't want to make this about the ex relationship, because this is really about you and how successful you are at the moment. But people all have choices, whatever it is. And so therefore it is about choices that are made. Nobody does anything against their will. Well, unless there's somebody holding a gun to their head. But in a normal circumstance, you all have choices. You have a choice as to whether you go down one path or another path. And there's not there weren't, he had no options. There are always options.
Absolutely.
So, I completely agree with you. So, okay, I'm going to turn this around, though. So we covered off the biggest challenge for you as such. What was or has been your greatest moment? What have you gone, wow, okay, crikey?
There's been so many, to be honest. Since...
Oh, well, that's good.
Yeah. I mean...
Give us a few then. No, because when you say, wow, there's been so many in the last 4 years or whatever, I go, wow, okay, there's not just been one.
No, and there hasn't. It's been a series, like, you know, I mean, it all starts off small. And I mean, at the time, that was monumental for me. I mean, my first purchase when I went out and I started buying things and I didn't have to make the phone call to say, hey, am I allowed to buy this? To me, I was like, I'm allowed to do this. And for me to realize that was huge. But then obviously I bought the house, I bought my car, getting this job, having my children, being able to afford to put my children into a specialised program. Every day I look at what I've done for my kids, and that to me is the biggest achievement. I know that I've given my kids the best, and I'm really proud of myself for what I have done. And I think, I mean, it might sound a little bit conceited, but, the fact that when you crawl yourself and claw your way back up after being in such a black, dark hole and having nothing. And I mean, I don't have $1 million. I don't have, a luxury house or anything like that. But I've got my home. I've got a house now that my kids, it doesn't matter how old they are.
But who's to say $1 million would make you happy? I mean, I do sit there and go, well, it might help. But, at the end of the day, you might not be happy with $1 million. So it's just about being grateful for what you got in the present moment, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think my biggest achievement as well, another thing, one of my children has anxiety, and one of my biggest achievements for him was that he's now become an environmental leader at his school. Now he stands up, he is confident, he is, he's still got his anxiety, but I've been able to get him through and say, we're there for you. And that to me is a massive achievement, because the anxiety he went through was, it was like so horrible for him. Like
I can imagine.
And now you see him standing in front of, the whole school and, making these speeches. And it was just like, that to me is a massive achievement,
and it makes you proud. I mean, like, when you have that situation, you sort of, to me, it's the proudest moment ever, like seeing my kid play soccer or whatever, it is. It's awesome. It's awesome.
My biggest, I mean, it's for me, I protected my kids, and that what they went through while it was early in their life is not going to have a lasting effect on them. I've now, I've protected them, and I will continue to protect them. I will do whatever I can. So, that to me, I guess, is the greatest achievement so far as well. So,
that's awesome. That's brilliant. Well, no, but it's great that you say there's so many, because, people sit in situations like you were in, sort of can't see that their life could be so much better, that it could be different, that there could be all of these great moments. They can't really see, they can't see a different life as such. And it's a shame, and that's why I wanted to interview you guys, because there's so many mums out there who were in relationships, whether they were good relationships or bad relationships, they've left with the kids and they've achieved so much. But it's not been an easy road and an easy journey. And I was sick of seeing all of these single mums, who were like going, oh, it's easy and everything's great. And, it's not. It's bloody hard. No. And it's up and down. You have a roller coaster ride. And I wanted to go, hey, guys, if you're having a really hard time out there, it's okay. We've done it. Like, you've done it. You've had 4 years of this, of building yourself back up to the person that you are today. And it ain't been easy. And, but we're here, and, you can do it. Like you said, it's about surrounding yourself with can-do people, and putting that one foot in front of the other as such. Do you do, so I do little things on a daily basis just to keep me positive and to keep me moving forward. Do you have daily rituals that you sort of do to just keep you in a positive space as such? Because you're like talking to you, I've talked to you a few times, you're so positive and you're so like, I can do this and it's all good. And, from coming from nothing, you just seem to be still steamrolling ahead. So, like, is there anything that you do daily or?
Yeah, I do. When somebody tells me I can't do something, I do it. And that's the mentality I keep.
Yep.
So if I'm having a bad day, I'll put the music on. I'll put my earbuds in. I'll have the music blaring. I will go and do a gym workout. I'll go shopping. I'll do what I want. But if I'm, but every day I'll say to myself, pull your big girl panties up. You can do this every day, even if I don't want to, even if I'm sitting there going, and I always think I've got these two voices in my head. One's going, no, you can't, no, don't, just go and lay in bed. You don't want to, don't do that, you don't have to do that. And I've got this other person that's like a drill sergeant. I always think he's kind of like a little comical, Benny Hill or something like that. And I'll just think, he's in, military uniform. He's like, pull your big girl panties up, stand up, get your shit done, just go and do it. And it would just be like, so depending on how I'm feeling, each one will win. And then I have this other, me going, you know what, I'm just going to watch Netflix and, stare around all day. But,
But that's okay to do that someday.
I just say to myself, you know what, look at how far you've come. You can do it. Don't give in, because that's when you fail. If you give in, if you don't try, that's when you fail. And you can make as many mistakes as you want. If you try, you don't fail.
Yeah. Small steps, isn't it? Small steps, definitely.
And that might be even just saying, hey, I'm going to do the washing up today. Or I'm going to do the washing. That could be your biggest achievement for the day. And that's great. That's awesome if you do that. But every day, just have one achievement. And, But if someone says you can't do it, just do it. That's cool. Because honestly, if someone else can do it, there's no reason you can't do it.
Has there been anyone who's who you can think like, oh, that person influenced me, or has like helped me push myself further as such?
I have a friend who and she's actually a police officer, but I actually met her after all of this. I only met her like 2 years ago, so she actually had nothing to do with the situation. But she is probably one of the strongest women I have ever met, and it's not the fact that she's a police officer, it's just the fact that she's a solo parent as well. I'll never I always say I'm a solo parent. I raise my kids solo. Yeah. And she's a solo parent as well. But she's she was the one who sort of made me realize that there's no reason why you can't do something. Because I go, no, I can't do that. I should get someone else to do that. And she'd go, why can't you do it? Oh, well, I don't know how to do it. She goes, figure it out. Figure it out. And that's when so she's been really instrumental in being one of the strongest people I've met, but she's also strong within herself. And I when I first met her, I just went, she's the person I want to be. She's the person I'm going to emulate myself again, or be like. I just want to be like her. Have her strength, have her And I bet you if you said that to her, she'd be like, what? There's nothing, like she wouldn't see herself as anything different. No, exactly right.
Yeah. We should get her on. We should get her on the podcast. Let's get her on this podcast. She can give us her secrets.
I can always try, but I don't think so. She'll be
working and looking after the kids. No, all good. No, that's awesome. No, and look, I have same people who keep me sane and talk me down from the ledge on a regular basis as well. It is it's about the people in your life as well as like, there's different things that I've read, and I try and keep myself, if I'm in doubt about anything, I Google it and read, and absorb it and learn as much as I can. So if there's something, if I'm not dealing with something my son's doing, maybe in an effective way, I like try and think, well, how can I deal with it differently and question myself? Constantly learning. I know what you mean. So look, you're a single mum just like me, talking to me, so you're not like selling anything or going anything, but look, if people wanted to get in contact with you, should they email me and then I'll forward on their emails and things to you, or message on the Facebook page and things like that, and we can send details to them that way?
No, that's fine. If they send any questions or anything they want to know.
Okay, that would be good, because I don't know, they might have some questions on a one-on-one basis regarding domestic violence situations. I mean, I'll post details in the blurb at the end of this podcast regarding where people can go and get help regarding domestic violence, etc. And there are quite a few organizations now that helping domestic violence situations, which is awesome, so that would be good. So my final question, I ask this to everyone, so regular listeners will probably be a bit bored of this question by now, but it's all good. There's different things that come out. If you had a superpower, what would it be?
I thought about this question for a while, and honestly, I have no idea what my superpower would be. Either I think, what would I do? Clone myself. I think that would be the only being able to clone myself, just so that I could, get twice as much done. But, do I want to know the future? No.
No, that's okay. No, that's fine. Never had that one before, but that's cool.
I don't know. I just think, I probably just want to, be able to clone myself. But that's it. I think,
then you could send your clone to work, and then you could stay at home and watch Netflix and do whatever you paint or go on holiday or whatever, and then your clone could do the work and still be earning money.
Yeah, see, absolutely. I'd take my kids away, I'd still have the money to be able to take my kids away and go and do some fun stuff. And
well, if you cloned several of you, then they could run businesses for you, you could just be the big boss lady.
Well, that's true too. That's true. I can have my business going. I can have the work going. I can either the kids, someone could clean for me, cook.
Oh,
love to be able to have
happy days. See, so you went, I'm not really sure how to answer it, but I think your idea is pretty good, actually. No, cloning ourselves. I mean, we try and pack so much in, but there we go. You'll have to think of this blooming cloning machine and sell it. You'd make a fortune selling it to us all. Okay, look, Kylie, brilliant. Thank you so much for coming on board and telling us about your journey, about where you've come from. I love talking to you because you're so positive, and to come from where you have to, new house, new car, fantastic job, side business. I mean, you can't underestimate everything that you're doing, because it's massive. And the kids are all thriving and everything like that now, which is brilliant. So to come from the situation you've come from is, I think
that's the most important thing for me, making sure that the kids thrive. You hear so many stories about, when I was a kid and I went through this and what happened and how it impacts some of them in their life. I'm just glad now that they've been able to deal with it, and they're not going to have that impact. And, I keep telling my daughter every time I drop her off to school, I said, learn, I always say, love you, learn lots, and remember you're going to be the CEO of a big company one day. And she'll go, yes, mummy, I'm going to be the boss. And, to be able to have that confidence and, to know she's going to be, she's going to be okay.
No limits. No limits. The only limit is the limit you give yourself, really. So,
and that's what I keep telling him, you know. You can do whatever you want to do.
No.
And, so that
you're doing a fantastic job. No, it's brilliant. No, thank you again. And look, have a great weekend. Thanks for coming and talking to us.
Thank you for inviting me. It's been great.
Yay, okay.
Bye.
Hey everyone, thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this podcast and would like to hear more, please hit subscribe wherever you like to hear podcasts. If you'd like to support us further, share this episode with your friends and family on all the usual social media platforms that you're normally on. And finally, drop us a review on iTunes, as I'd love to hear your thoughts, comments, and ideas. It all helps me to understand and produce awesome content that I know you're going to want to hear, like this. If you want to check out past episodes, write to us, appear on the podcast, or for links, resources, and show notes, go to our website, www.strongsingleandhuman.com. We are also on all the usual social media platforms, Insta, Facey, and Twitter. Have a wonderful week, and I hope to see you back here again soon. Be kind to yourself, and remember, no one's perfect, and we're all just putting one foot in front of the other and doing our best. I'm Claire Martin, and you've been listening to the Strong, Single and Human podcast.